Hi everybody, welcome back to the channel, and we have a book review today of one that I just finished, and it is entitled The Cartographers by Pang Shepard. And if you're familiar with it, I picked this up in the bookstore because, number one, I love books, and I studied history in college, so I am a lover of history and maps and all things essentially old and found in antiquity. And so when I came across a book that seems to be all about maps and history, I said, yes, sign me up. And so this book was not anything like I expected. I was really... though I sort of knew maybe a little bit what I was getting into. And essentially, if you read the book cover, a little bit of the summary, it's funny because I'm laughing in the sense that I wasn't expecting that this book was going to include magic. I was really getting into this thinking it was sort of an Indiana Jones, an Uncharted type of a feel where there may be some investigation, certainly thrilling elements, but essentially the book follows a group of friends from college who called themselves the Cartographers. And they were art students, and sort of their senior thesis project is something that they were all working on together. And it was going to be this atlas. And it was going to not just include places in our world, but elements of their favorite stories of fiction and fantasy and novels. And through beautiful artwork, they were going to try to sell this atlas and really make a difference in the world of cartography. And so the story flashes back and forth to their college days and then to the modern day. Well, the modern day story doesn't follow the cartographers primarily, but it follows a husband and wife who were in the Cartographers, Daniel and Tam, who have a daughter named Nell. And so Nell is our main character, and her issue comes around when she was raised pretty much like her father and mother, though her mother died in a fire. So she's raised by her father, and he is the curator of the New York Library, specifically the Maps Division. And she's only ever wanted to be like her parents. And so she studies, she gets her degree, she actually gets hired by her father. However, one day when she's doing a little digging around in the basement, she finds a box that is entitled Junk, the Junk Box. And in it, she's looking through some interesting things and finds this old road map like you'd find at a gas station, one of those folding massive maps, brings it upstairs, and I'm forgetting exactly all of the conversations, but essentially, when her father sees her with the junk box, he loses his mind. They get into an argument. She doesn't know what his problem is, and he ends up firing her, his own daughter, from the thing that she's worked her whole life to be accepted into. She has her doctorate, for goodness sake, and he fires her. Her boyfriend at the time, Felix, who's another character in the story, stands up and tries to defend her. He gets fired. And so they sort of break up as a result of this horrible, what they call the junk box incident. Well, the main part of the story continues when Nell receives a phone call from her father. And it's not a very positive one. It's very short. It's very alarming. He just says essentially what seems like a final farewell. Later on, she finds out her father has been killed and the library has been broken into. She goes, she meets some old colleagues, and essentially doesn't know how to process this. One thing she does know is that her father was pretty secretive, and actually in his office he had a spare compartment in his desk, I believe, and she knew how to get it. And so she opens up this compartment really when no one else is around, and of all things that she finds in this secret compartment, it's that road map from the junk box those several years ago when she had been fired. She hadn't really spoken to her father since. And so you kind of got the plot. What makes this map so important? Well, we're flashing back and forth. We're learning more about the other members of the cartographers. We're learning about their dynamics. We're learning on how some are romantically involved, others are just friends. We find that some are cheating on one another in their group, and eventually the whole thing is going to come crumbling down when the part that surprised me, really, when I wasn't expecting, is that this map, right, the one that Nell was fired for, the one that back in the back part of the story, back in the college days, the cartographers find, they realize that this map identifies a city on the map called Aglo that only exists when you are opening the map using it. You can walk down the road, the path, and you can see this whole town. You close the map and the city vanishes, right? Open the map, you can be standing right in front of the entrance to the whole town. Appears, close it, disappears, right? So you can be in the city, close map on the way out, disappears behind you, right? And so one of the members of the cartographers grows obsessive about these maps. And the cartographers, once they graduate, they pretty much relocate to a nearby cabin. And when they find that this town of Aglo exists, they pretty much move all their operations into this town, their secret special town. Well, this one member, his name is Wally, he begins to grow obsessive and compulsive and wants to track down every single other version of this map so that they alone can be living in this town of Aglo. And so, flash forward, Nell has one of these, and through discerning what the police are doing, the death of her father, pretty much assumes that someone is coming after the person who owns this map. So go through. That's pretty much going to be the main setting of the plot. So if you haven't read it and you'd like to, please go read it, check it out, let me know what you think. But we're going to continue on with sort of my final analysis of it. All right, we're good? All right, here we go. I did not enjoy this book. Okay, didn't really enjoy it. I didn't understand in the sense that the magic of the map seemed to spread to other maps as well. Essentially, the thought process is that cartographers know if someone is cheating and stealing their material because they will put a false city, a false road, a false indicator in their map so that if it shows up in another map, they know that someone's copied their map and just sort of made it their own, right? Not a horrible idea, but at least from what I read, what I tried to go back and look through, I never really found a good explanation of how some of those maps actually created something new. In fact, one of the characters is able to hide, Wally is able to hide in the wall of a building because on the map that he had, right, he was able to draw a door and a small room. And other characters are able to do this too. One of the girls who is in the cartographers, when she grows up, she's scared of Wally. And she wants to hide from him because they're going to find out that Wally is tracking down all of these maps to destroy them, to control Aglo. He's sort of losing his mind. They're all going to be together forever. But he starts committing crimes and actually starts killing people to get these. So she's afraid that he's going to somehow come after her, and she creates an entire shop in a whole building structure by simply drawing it on a couple maps. And so if you don't have it, you can close it and it can disappear. I didn't think the author really explained the functions of that magic system, how it worked. And maybe her point wasn't to explain it. Maybe her point was just to accept it and just kind of a cool thing. And that's fine. I just kind of like to know a little bit about how this works. And so that was always kind of something that I kind of got lost a little bit, because someone may have a map that opened this room in this building. Someone may have a map that opens this staircase going down the outside of this room and things like that. And it just sort of lost me a little bit. Maybe that's just because I'm dumb, right? But who knows? And then maybe sort of the other thing that I just kind of always kept coming back to is, if there is a town that this map sort of lets you get into and you're the only one, I mean, I guess I can appreciate that being a valuable thing, but throughout the entire course of the story, this town was just like abandoned. And the cartographers would like explore it a little bit, but they really just kind of set up shop in a couple of these places. So I never really understood, like, how long has this town been in creation? Who originally created this map? How did the buildings not fall into disrepair? Things like that were always just sort of interesting to me. Just sort of maybe finishing off the main plot of the story, when they decide that Wally is really losing his mind. Wally is, how I took it, romantically interested in Nell's mother, Tam, who was sort of the glue that held the whole thing together. And when she finally confronts him about, you've gone way too far with all of this, her and Daniel, Nell's parents, Daniel and her, husband and wife, they sort of come up with this plot that they're going to essentially fake her death. Wally lost his mind and actually sets a building on fire. Tam is able to rush in and save Nell, and then sort of through the midst of that, the final map is destroyed. When in reality it's not. Tam has another map that Wally wasn't aware of. She gets it to Daniel in essentially Nell's baby outfit, her blanket and stuff around her. And then town disappears, everything burns down, they're never able to get back to it. She's actually alive the whole rest of Nell's life until later on in the story by herself. And so just kind of, I just felt like there were some pieces that really didn't make sense. I apologize, I'm just sort of rambling in this video. Let me summarize it by this. Another thing that just sort of at the very end of it, if you want to know, Nell and Felix get together. Wally shows up. She finds out that all of these members of the cartographers are coming back together. Mom is still alive, been in the town of Aglow for all these years, hiding the town from Wally. I never understood. They're all terrified of Wally. They think Wally's going to kill them. I never understood why we didn't just like go to the police and maybe let them know what's happening here. Like the big thing is like, no one can find out about Aglow. This is our treasure and mystery beyond wonder. It's like, okay, but like, it's not like there was gold in the city, right? If you're scared to death and you think this is actually what's happening, I just never understood why nobody would like go and get their own concealed carry permit and carry a firearm with them if they're terrified. And even when Wally finally does appear, he has a gun and he threatens everybody and they have to obey him. I was like, would nobody else like have some means of force that you could protect yourself? And so it was just kind of some of those things that, as I was reading through it, it was fun to see how they're going to figure out the idea of mystery. But yeah, the magic of the map, I never really understood. Like, how do you create a city just by drawing it on a map? Is there a magic paper? Is there a magic ink? Can anybody just draw a false town? And maybe I missed it and I should go back and reread it. So that never really made sense to me. Maybe I'm just again, I'm wrong here. I just, the idea that this city exists in other rooms, I guess that can be helpful and beneficial for you, but this town that didn't really seem to be part of why it was valuable. It was just the fact that it existed was the big value. And then if you're genuinely afraid that someone is trying to track down all the members of the old team to murder them, I don't know why you wouldn't like take every precaution to protect yourself. And so that was my take. If I had to rate it out of 5, I'd probably say 2. The characters weren't exceptionally dynamic to me. 1.5, okay, fine. 1.5 out of 5. No, 2. 2 out of 5. And so check it out if you'd like. Cool cover, real cool cover. But there you go. Magic maps that I didn't really know how it happened. Characters that I thought maybe could have taken better care of themselves. But hey, the love of a mother trying to protect her daughter from a crazy friend in college. Can't really fault her for that. So there you go. The Cartographers by Pang Shepard. Check it out yourself. Let me know what you think about it. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll catch you on the next video. Thank you.